how to bootstrap a hostel. The guys from Bunk+Brew from Bend, Oregon. They opened about a year ago, and they're going to share their experience with us. So Frankie Meduzia.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Frankie is a Northwest native and active pursuer of global travel. Since living in Ecuador as an exchange student at age 17, he can't finish one trip before planning the next. I like to think of retracing the steps of early explorers and great thinkers, from Charles Darwin on the Galapagos Islands to Edmund Hillary at Mount Everest Base Camp. As a medical technician with long hours and extended time off, Frankie traveled the world networking with amazing people of all cultures and hopes Bunk+Brew will help fellow travelers do the same. And then his partner, Jota, is that right?
Pretty good, yeah.
Jota? What is it?
Jota or Jay?
Jota!
Jay is perfectly fine.
Cool. Or Jay in English, is an adopted Oregon native and licensed. He's an adopted Oregon native and licensed Oregon attorney. I didn't know that. Wow. Prior to Bunk+Brew, Jota spent 4 years consulting in-house for an IT company, taking cloud-based analytics software to market and negotiating hundreds of deals, totaling over $5 million in sales. Then in fall of 2015, he bought a 4x4 in Los Angeles, drove from Mexico to Panama, and retreated in Cuba. His experience in over 50 hostels across 8 countries led to the inspiration behind Bunk+Brew and his return to the United States. Please help me welcome the Bunk+Brew crew.
Thanks, Vicky. So this is a picture of Rosie Muggs up there, and our general manager in the middle, who's a solid guy. He's actually running operations for us right now as we speak. So incredible asset. We couldn't do this without him.
That was our New Year's photo.
Right.
We did like a little 1920s party for New Year's at the hospital.
Defriended.
Yeah, these are, let's see, we got our key members, our team. Jim's in the crowd somewhere, so we both lived, there he is. We both lived in Portland for 10 years. We met through a mutual friend actually playing soccer, and now we're financially married together, so. That's what happens when you go all in and cash out your retirement. But we got Jim, he was really influential to us in the beginning. We just, I think we sent an email, I don't know if we called or emailed, and then we said, hey, how about beer and lunch, and can we just pick your brain about hostels? And that's what we did, and it's been a wealth of knowledge. Get a mentor in your early stages, guys, and there's one in this room. There's more than one in this room. That's all it is.
So staff. So we have, as Vicki mentioned, we've been in business now for 1 year, and we now have 11 team members. Frankie and I actually live on site, and we'll show you the place, the hostel itself. Andrew's the manager. We have a great full-time janitor. We have a couple assistants that are being trained to take over, so Andrew can get some, time to vacation, etc. We have a shuttle driver, so you'll see a little. We actually bought a adventure shuttle van called the Dirtbag Express. So we take that and our guests up to some of the local landmarks that we'll also talk about. And then we have extended guests. So in this volunteer controversial situation, we're still developing how to navigate the legal rules. As a lawyer, I have some particular concern with this. It was very good to talk to Rick and his World Packers team. Our 4 extended guests, one of them came from Workaway, and the rest have kind of been organic.
The rest have all been previous guests at the hostel, and when we started the program, they were previous guests, and they expressed high interest. So by somebody that already stays at your hostel and expressed interest, they know the way. They're higher quality. They're not less likely to flake. So this is Bend, Oregon. We have some cool stuff up here. It's the 6th fastest growing city in America right now, 4 of which are in Austin, Texas. So if you take them out of the picture, Bend's a top destination in America. It's growing really, really fast. You can see 71% occupancy rates.
65.5 is the national rate.
Yeah. Let's see, we have Smith Rock on the left. It's a mecca for rock climbers. We have Mount Bachelor on the right. Both of them are 35 minutes from Bend. It's year-round recreational sports. That was another play that we were going for. We didn't want, for instance, we'll be looking at a lot of options start a hostel, but there's risk if you go to the beach. Well, on the Pacific Northwest, you get 3 months of business, and then it's all low season, so you got to get creative marketing here. At least we knew there's people coming around.
Yeah, and the other thing to note on this too is one of the huge advantages of Bend was there was no other hostel that was perfect for the hostel type crowd. So we were shocked that no one had done it, and almost nervous at first, like why not? Are we missing something? Talking around town, going out for locals, I'd say dozen plus people have said, I had that idea, but they just didn't do it. So hopefully what this, our presentation here and what you gain from the conference is dive in, because if you don't, someone will.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we knew this was a hotspot from the beginning. Again, 3.5 hours from Portland. I was a weekender at Bend, and so we fell in love with it. And it came down to one night, actually, there was like a rodeo in town, a beer festival, a concert, something going on. And we ended up started looking for a place to stay and literally couldn't find a place. It was all booked out, and rates were $150 minimum that night, and still couldn't find a spot. So.
And that was kind of what triggered. Yeah, we sat in our car, and that's when we were like, wow, someone's got to do something about it. May as well be us.
This is an interesting chart here. This was provided by the Visitor Center in Bend. This is occupancy numbers. Go to your local visitor center. They have been very helpful. They have statistics, and it's all backed on the taxes you guys pay. So they know the yearly occupancy and the rates here just by the amount of taxes that the hotel lodging partners pay. And this was a 10-year graph that we got at various stages. Now, I will say our summer peaks, June, July, August, were much higher than this chart. We literally set people in tents and cowboy camping in the backyard for the PCTers. They were everywhere. Shouldn't do that. Don't get in the habit of it. But people were everywhere. But then our lows were also lower than this chart here. The snow hasn't come yet. That's impacting our business. For whatever reason. So. We had highs and lows.
And the highs this year was interesting. Our first year of operations, we had a pretty fortunate event, solar eclipse. Right.
Yes, it was amazing.
Highest bunk beds in the world. We sold over $650 bunk beds and $1,500 for a private room. Yeah. Nice.
Eclipse.
You gotta capitalize.
Yeah, we had to.
Solar eclipse.
So this is the house. So it is a historic home in the city of Bend. In fact, it's the oldest brick building in town. These are a couple things when you're thinking about starting a hostel that we thought were important for us. So location, of course, we're close to downtown, near something called the Bend Ale Trail. So Bend is one of the biggest towns in the U.S., maybe the biggest per capita microbreweries. It's like 26 within a few miles. So we leveraged that and tried to make sure we were close to that scene so that people could drink and walk and not drive, of course. Being unique, again, as I mentioned, it's in 1910. It doesn't say much for some of these East Coast places in Charleston, but in the West, that's a pretty big deal. And in our town, it's definitely a historic landmark. And then as far as minimum requirements, we were just talking about this. It's going to be different where you go. We tried to hit 30. We started a little under 25. We recently got up to 30. Pretty much maximizing it as far as we can in the house. We have some plans we'll get to at the end of maybe turning this into a boutique scene and then having more of a kind of a warehouse kind of mass occupancy somewhere else in town that's maybe half the price for people on a budget. But for now, this is enough to be profitable. We'll show you the numbers a little later.
Here's some of our services that we offer and our room types, and just photos of the house. We have at the hostel a 6-bed mixed dorm. We have a 4-bed female dorm, 4-bed mixed dorm, and then we have 2 hybrid rooms that are private. They sleep up to 5. It's a twin over full with a bunk bed rack. So you got your husband, wife, and then maybe 3 kids, 4 or 5 backpackers. Those rooms are crucial. Also, if they don't sell out, you just take them offline. Your staff starts a waiting list, and then you just turn it into a dorm room. So there's really easy to pivot the hybrid rooms. I would recommend that. If you're toying with should I have more private, should I have more bunks? It's a little bit of the diligence, but it's really not that hard. And the backpackers, they want to save money. You just get their number, you text them, they go drink a beer in town. And then we have 2 private double bedrooms. They're standard hotel kind of rooms. What else we got on this side?
And you can, I don't know, you guys can look and see what you have on your hostels,
Yeah.
we do, that you may not. And we thought through a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, we make every bed. We go a little bit above and beyond just because Ben, we're the only hostel, and Americans aren't used to hosteling. We really try to market to all crowds and scenes and ages, and so I think it would be a little of a shock factor when we get the first-time hosteler in that's an older person, an American, whether it's a construction worker in Ben's booming, we get them sometimes, or a family. Yeah, and they're just not used to making the bed, and they kind of don't really realize what they're getting themselves into. So it takes out the shock factor. A little bit extra work and the diligence there, but that's how our beds are made every day. The kitchen, really fast. Those all had horrible latches and they clanked and opened and banged, and guests were scavenging for everything. We ripped off all the doors on the cabinets, repainted them, and started labeling everything so people could see it and go to it.
We do quite a bit of breakfast selection as well. I mean, we have a local, I should mention this, it might come up later, but Great Harvest is a local bakery. It's a bigger chain, but they have a local scene that they own independently. They provide free bread to us in the morning, like good wholesome bread.
Yeah.
And it was easy as a phone call. We kind of put it off because we thought there's no way they would make it, affordable for us in the early days, but they were happy to support a local business. Just make the call, find your local
Yeah,
business,
get
find
into a
support
local
partners,
bakery.
yeah.
They'll give you your day olds. They bake us bread pudding sheets, so we get twice to 3 times a week, depending on how busy we are. We get these massive bread pudding sheets that we slot in, so guests can come out, cut out a wedge, all the bread, and then they give us a coupon for 1 free cookie, giant cookie to their store. So when somebody checks in, we'll get there in a moment about the beer part. They get a free beer, then they get the free cookie coupon, and people love free stuff, right? And then we point them to Great Harvest. They buy lunch, they buy coffee, they buy from them. So it's a great win-win for both parties.
We do a lot of little things that don't cost a whole lot to us, but a whole lot to the guests. And that's kind of how we determine what to add and what not to.
Numbers.
Yeah, so numbers. I think I break it down in the month after this, but we did okay for our first year. It's just again, it's only been 1 year, but we were profitable in our second month, and that was just because we started with 10 grand each, was put in 5 to cover some of the bare necessities. But the home you saw when we bought it, it had everything in it already. So we just kind of re-transformed some of the configurations, added bunk beds. Not something that might apply to most of you. We were pretty fortunate in that case. It was already operating as kind of a vacation rental bed and breakfast.
You guys just started with $10,000.
Yeah, we cashed the retirement out.
That was our upfront, yeah. That was after buy. Yeah.
For the business, so there's 2 entities. There's the home, and then there's the business. So we had to do a separate deal for the financing, which we can talk about as well. And maybe now's a good time. So essentially, many of you may be familiar with the SBA route for acquiring real estate. It's the 7A program. We approached the 7A program, and it was going to take us 3 months. But the home that we were looking to acquire had 2 bids on it at the time we found it. They weren't, and the market was hot. They were going to pick one of the 2 bids. So we did something that may not apply to many of you. We reached out to family to kind of see if they could help pitch in. So we were able to have families swoop in and pay the down payment on our behalf. And now we're leasing from the family to another entity. And so now we're having a lease-to-own arrangement where we'll eventually acquire the home back by taking the money from the business that we own and totally, and then applying that to the principal of the home to cover the down payment. So that should take place fairly soon.
Yeah,
And we talk and there's a lot of details to it, and I'm happy to share on a one-by-one basis.
Yeah, I got into real estate early. I've bought and sold 1 house in Portland and have a second. The equity's been really good. So it was the third and last option was I would mortgage the house to also use additional funds. I had a 401 with a nonprofit hospital I was working for, and I also cashed that out. So I took 30% on my 401, and then I didn't have to touch the house assets. So we were very
I know
creative.
the numbers are sometimes taboo, but for me, like creative vision, super easy, branding comes natural to me, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like nobody ever talks about the numbers, and me as a woman, I feel like women don't even talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I feel like it's a secret of like how to actually start being entrepreneur, like, or how do you get the money?
Absolutely.
You actually need an app for stuff that really.
yeah.
And we're happy to talk more about that. I don't know if 5,000 is a lot or little for some of you. I bet there's a wide range in the group, but we had both worked in the industry for a few years. Again, I was an attorney, trying to use in medical, so for us it was attainable.
Yeah.
So you guys consider doing crowdsourcing?
Oh, actually, we did. Yeah, we did a campaign and it brought in about $5,000. So that helped additionally too.
Indiegogo.
We chose
There's also
Indiegogo.
Kiva in the United States now too that can do up to 10 grand and up to 25 grand.
Yeah, without affecting like SEC and all that. Yeah.
Here's more numbers. What do we got here?
So this is just the monthly breakdown. You can kind of see
Yeah.
where we started.
Those-
Obviously, we started pretty low that first month. But,
Yeah, literally openly. We got the building in December. We ran it on Airbnb just for like a soft opening, and then we got live on our channels in January and all the OTAs. Now, obviously, we just went live. Who wants to stay at a place that has 0 reviews, has 0 marketing, probably doesn't even know what they're doing in the first month you're open. But this was our first month in January, and then month 2 is where we turned the profit, and then just kept going from there. Our biggest month was obviously August, and that was the eclipse that was there. But you can see 35,000 in 1 month. That was.
You can see some big negatives on the net on the right for these months. We had some major acquisitions early on. One of them was the Dirtbag Express van that we mentioned. The other was a beer truck. We actually got a 1970s Grumman bread truck that was already in our logo colors. And we're working on our liquor license now to provide the brew part with the bump. And that will be this summer. We'll talk more about that.
How did your expenses down to $1,331 in April?
That's a good question. Do we April? Is that when we started maybe the volunteer program?
All I know is in the early months, we were putting a lot into one-time expenses. So my guess is in April, we were largely only paying for the recurring kind of, utilities and that sort of thing. Whereas we required a lot of assets early on to kind of finish out what the house didn't have. That's my best guess.
Yeah, we started taking distributions too. So what you don't see behind these numbers are we got the big numbers, the revenue on that left-hand side, but then the where it goes negative, that's because we bought a $5,000 shuttle van, we bought a $5,000 beer tap truck that we're converting, and then Jay and I both was it 5 months into the business, we started paying employees first, and then we started paying ourselves, and we took distributions of $2,000 each. So that was another $4,000 coming out monthly.
Yeah, we've taken in the first year 44,000 each, so 22 each approximately. We started that about halfway through.
Yeah.
So it was just doing well, and it helped us stay afloat.
Do you not, is there a reason you don't like to take the larger assets like that and break it down over?
You can do that. Some assets you can amortize over time. For a startup business, a lot of these assets, if they're under a certain amount, you can capitalize it in your first year. So I don't remember what the limit is, but in most cases, you want to take it right off as much as you can. Yeah. So for future purchases, we will have to deduct that over. They have schedules. The IRS has schedules. I'm not an accountant, but we've studied some tax law.
Yeah, I guess where we're still on numbers, again, our lows were lower than we expected. So I would recommend don't be so ambitious right off the gate. And in the high season, get a lot of padding for that low season. For instance, put off buying the shuttle a year. Don't buy it right away. Put off any major one-up expenses until just get it going the next year.
Yeah, we saw this money coming in, and we're like, eyes got big, like, wow, this could actually work. It's for like getting vans and trucks. And,
get some padding. The low season will be low.
Is your shuttle specifically to pick guests up from the airport?
Yeah, we do a little bit of. Airport's tricky, actually. You need special licenses for the airport. We're in a small rural town, so it's kind of like nobody really cares. But when you get a shuttle, do not go more than 12 passengers. You need a commercial license higher than 12. Stay under 12.
I think that's federal law. Even though
It's true. And the insurance is significantly higher, additionally, over 12 passengers. The airports probably don't go there in this city unless you live in a really rural city. We still do that just if a guest reaches out to us, it's no problem. But the shuttle is mostly for being a Trail Angel program to the Crest Trail, going to Mount Bachelor, and going to Smith Rock. We run it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days a week.
Would your insurance really have?
No,
I think it's $80 a month.
yeah, you can for all and any employee we get that wants to drive it, we just get their ID, send it to an insurance guy. It doesn't cost any extra premiums to toss them on.
So it's not commercial insurance because it's less than 12 people,
Actually,
even though you're charging?
It kind of is commercial insurance. Our insurance, we have We have commercial insurance for the hostel, and it's all bundled. We put a vehicle with the policy, so.
Yeah, we consolidated insurance. We had a great opportunity. You were explaining this the other day. In brief, just to keep this shorter, not every insurance company understands this business model, so we had to find someone who did. And so we had a broker that used a test case in Ashland, Oregon, where there are a lot of similar situations. Bed and breakfast looking to understand the model. And so they had a company, I think it's some company in Texas, we can get you more, that basically built a policy around the nature of this business. And so we were able to get that. And it also helped to consolidate. So they're doing that for us. They're also doing our employee workers' comp, and that type of thing. So it's been helpful to do that just in one payment for one group.
Yeah, they've been really helpful. You can reach out to us for that information. They'll insure you probably anywhere. They literally had a box that we could fit in because they just saw us as a bed and breakfast. Real quick, the city of Bend defines us as a boarding house. Deschutes County defines us as a bunk house. Our insurance defines us as a bed and breakfast. They're boxes that we don't fit in. But they just find and navigate those pre-existing terms, how they define it, and just go with it. Don't fight them, just work with it. Work with it.
So this is kind of the main part of our slide, our message, right? So how do you do this all with $5,000 each, right? So some of the first things so I'm a technology lawyer, and so I used a lot of cloud-based technology and open source. And so we use cloud-based about that. Shout out to these guys. We've been very happy, very pleased. A lot of growth there, and a very reasonable price for what we get. So we can talk more about that. Frankie's been working a lot on the payroll. We use T-sheets to gather the time, and people can clock in and out on an app. Apps and cloud are great. We manage things remotely from other countries when we travel. We have staff doing a lot of it now, but we can check in a second from anywhere in the world, and that's been tremendously.
We even have a tracking feature on, and so if you want to allow them to work remotely from home or in a coffee shop, you can see their geolocation if both parties agree to it. It's kind of interesting. So that's also helpful for our shuttle van driver. If he's clocked on the job, you can see where he's going and stuff.
What's that through?
That's through T-sheets.
Oh, okay.
They're out of Boise. They cost about $35 a month. They do this. So there's multiple platforms and stuff here. You could go with one that's a hybrid that does time and HR and payroll. But we were finding that if you go one with a specialty of time and record keeping and one that did HR, and then they integrated and they talk to each other. They're essentially partners. It was a much better flow. It was
find someone with pre-existing integration. Custom APIs are not so easy to achieve.
Our HR is Gusto. You pay a flat fee of maybe like $40 a month, and then any additional employee you add, it's like $6. In 6 months, we were offering our staff PTO. So that was awesome to do. That helps. A lot of people keep talking about being grooming career, making a career with a hostel manager, not just that whole hierarchy from cleaner to receptionist to manager to owner. I think Jim's done an amazing job of keeping his staff. He's got a couple managers that have been with him, Jim, 10, 15 years? 12, okay. And he says they'll probably retire with him. I hope our guy stays around. He's been really amazing. We pay him $15 an hour. I don't think there's a lot of hostels that have those type of wages that way.
He does a lot for us, so yeah.
Pay time off.
Sorry.
Yeah, our employees get PTO.
So why you kind of insinuated that because you've used Gusto, you were able to give PTO? Where's the connection?
Yeah, that's with HR. It's difficult to set those things up, track, record, pay them out. Gusto will do all of that on your behalf. You set the parameters, and it's just
Okay, so it wasn't that it saved you money, so you were able to pay for pay time off. You're saying it did the paperwork to be able to.
The automation,
Okay.
achieving efficiencies.
I was like, how'd you save that much money? It's like, fancy technology.
How much money is a lot?
It is not. As small businesses, you don't have to pay any medical under 50 employees, and this is probably state specific here. But in Bend, we don't have to pay any healthcare benefits if you're under 50 employees. There's also, I think, do you remember the number for PTO that you don't have to pay?
An hour? Is it an hour? For
Oh no.
3 hours?
Yeah, I think it's 1 hour for every 40-day work. That's what we offer, which comes out to about 35 to 40 days off a year if they're full time. That helps. That helps keep your employees happy and staffed, incentivized, and keeps them around. There's less turnover. There's by paying that out, offering these benefits, they stay with you. You get more loyal and better for our workers. But it is not required by any for our sake. It's just something we offer.
So if they're non-full-time, how much PTO are they getting?
They get the same hours. It's just they
accumulate over a longer period.
Yeah, if you're full-time working 40 hours, we don't have people working those hours.
Okay.
Our managers right now 25 to 35, depending if we're there in and out a week. And then we have 2 assistant managers. They're probably 12 hours a week, and then each, and then we have a cleaner that's 25 hours or so and volunteers.
How does Gusto work with QuickBooks?
There is
QuickBooks. I wanted to make a note on having some accounting experience in tax law. I've done a lot of it myself and Frankie's help, but we are already reaching a point that it's beyond what we can manage. So our next step is looking at QuickBooks, and there's something else called FreshBooks.
It's never busted up for me, but yeah.
So for those, now I'm reaching out to you in the crowd and saying we'd love to hear more about those of you who had experience in this. Our understanding.
Don't do the online, just buy the software.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
okay.
where you pay for this.
We can chat about this after.
Yeah, I'd like to, because that's our next
My
step.
biggest advice to anybody thinking about starting a business in general is find a good CPA that you like right away.
Yeah.
If you don't like them, don't feel bad about firing them, because I went through three CPAs in 2 years, and it was the worst.
Yeah,
thing
we're
that
really
happened
lucky
to
that
me.
one of my best friends is a tax lawyer, also a childhood friend, and then his parents own a firm, so we got some amazing connections, and they're
They're
wonderful.
worth the money.
It was interesting. The gentleman who bought us drinks with he mentioned this. Yes. Anyway, he mentioned Google Voice. That's really helpful. We don't even have a landline. We don't pay for a phone bill at the hostel. Google Voice, we just linked it on the back end with another number. Bought a tablet that runs the hostel, and we use a Google Voice number. It's all Wi-Fi. It's all voice over IP for our
Yeah,
hostel.
so on the tablet they have their property management software right there. They can take calls and walk around and do whatever they need anywhere in the house.
WordPress here, starting the website. Guys, build your own website. And if you can't build your own website, there's tools out there to learn how. Watch copious amounts of YouTube, drink a lot of coffee, and build it. That's what we did. I can't emphasize that enough, because as you grow, your brand changes. You want to keep fresh content on your website, and you need to know how to make those changes quickly. If you do pay somebody to build it, get them to build it how you want it, but then have them give you the tools to manage it. You need to know how to do that.
Tech savvy at all, there's a lot of tools out there. It's very realistic.
Yeah,
a shot.
YouTube videos and just building it with WordPress.
Go to our website if you want to get ideas.
Yeah, we do a theme. It's basically high-res photos with overlapping text, and then just colored backgrounds and text, and it alternates. It's very trendy. You scroll through it. People seem to be really receptive to that. And then as you scroll to the bottom, there's call to action buttons, and it takes you to the next page. So.
You gotta keep rocking.
Yeah.
So we'll go through these pretty quick. Open source technologies. Okay, yeah. So anyway, if you have a good website, you can drive more bookings. We're about 75-80% direct bookings on our website. That without commissions. So that's one of the main motivations financially for building a good place that invites customers to come to you. It also helps that we're the only hostel in town, so we have pretty easy SEO to be the top guy. Anytime you type in bed hostel, we come up. So,
Yeah, events, promos, giveaways. Club Beds has an awesome thing on the back end if you get familiar with building out their promos or rates. We work with multiple yoga studios that throw events and festivals. We just build them their own unique promo code. We're like, hey, what promo code do you want? If you want 10%, 15%, we negotiate from there. And then we just say, hey, give us your logo. And then when they enter the promo code, it pops up so it's customized to them. They get happy, their guests get happy. There's some LGBT groups that reach out to us. We give them promos. Everybody gets a promo code. It's awesome.
you get a promo
Can
code
you
for
mention the
Shane.
name of the software again that you use? Yes, I'm recording.
Hey,
Club
you good?
Beds is
How
the
you doing?
best. Is that what you want? Send me a check for that.
What do we got?
Free social
free
media.
press. Yeah, social media. I run all the social media. Well, not all of it.
Hostel
but,
Snap does that too,
majority of
okay.
it. Let's see. So we got probably 1,000 followers in 6 months. We started accounts in the early phases. That wasn't the highest priority at that time. And then I started to get really involved, waking up every morning, every night, social media, just posting hashtags. We all had that discussion. There's a thing called a share for share. Reach out to other businesses with the same amount of accounts, followers, and just say, hey, if you post about us, we'll post about you. Call to action. They can follow you. You can follow them. So you're grabbing their audience. Do that to like-minded people. Yoga studios, outdoor gear shops. We're in Venture Hostel. That's what we want to do. Don't do over there.
Quick note on OTAs. We are on a lot of OTAs, even though most of our direct bookings, but the reason we do that is because they will market for you.
That's
so
true.
ads for us will appear out in space, the web space, to drive people to us.
Yeah,
It's
it's
still worth it. If they only get paid for what they bring.
Cloudbets. Yeah, Cloudbets is an amazing job. We could push out the commission rates to the consumer. So we have all of our rates in-house, internal with Cloudbets, and then on the back end, when we connect it to the API account, the channel manager, we say, hey, this is Booking.com is 15%. Push out higher 15% to them. Hey, Expedia's at 18%. We were expected to go with an 18% commission with Expedia because it got you both this virtual card option and a hotel collect option. The virtual card option expanded us to over 4,500 more partners that Expedia doesn't disclose. And a great example of it is the virtual card is guaranteed payment. It's fast. It's really interesting. So if you go to an airline website and you buy an airplane ticket, you have to buy for that ticket in the moment. Then it's going to ask you about your lodging. You also have to buy that lodging in the moment. So that's a great example of why the virtual card program works, because Expedia handles the fund, it's guaranteed money, it's guaranteed payment, and you're out on so many more. We're on every airline's website. So there's a lot more channels. And then we're passing that on to the consumer too.
Quick note on press, you can get free press, do it yourself. Create a story, create an event, have a grand opening, do something, they'll come to you. A lot of the people that know us in town is because one guy came out with us, we convinced him to spend 24 hours with the Bunk+Brew crew, had a great time, took him out, did all this crazy stuff, and he wrote about it, now everyone knows about us in town. So that's easy to do. Local partnerships, doesn't always have to be money. Some of our best sponsors have been just barter and trade. Our local travel bureau is 2 blocks away. They just send people to us. You just had to go over there and talk to them. So it's pretty easy. Okay, so this is the last little piece here. Basically, we've done everything we mentioned before on bootstrapping. Now that we've proven our business model will be successful, so it seems, we were decided to reach out for additional funding and address the main things that we were getting complaints about that we couldn't deal with the money we had. So not enough bathrooms, old historic house, didn't want to renovate inside because of the trigger code, would be prohibitively expensive. So we said, let's go outside. The trick outside is it has to be historic. But we got a designer who specializes in historic review, and then getting funded was the next problem because we only had data for 9 months of operation. Big banks want 2 years. Get connected with the local bank. We took these guys out for beers, credit unions, helped them understand your business model and what you're contributing to the community. One of the reasons we went to a local bank is because they actually knew the business model and funded Jim's $4 million project in Portland. And so we knew that they understood what we were doing and they could see a vision for the future. So we were fortunate. I don't know if everyone would have those kinds of connections, but it's the only way we could have gotten the money to do this. And it's conditional now because we have to meet the historic review and all that stuff, which is underway as of today, actually.
Yeah, but we're lucky that we got the loan assigned to us before the government furloughed, because it is an SBA loan, and as the government shut down, they won't loan money. But we have a number assigned to us, so it is guaranteed, but with conditions. Yeah, that's exciting.
And last thing here, talking about vision yesterday, that was really good. A little exercise we went through. The vision we have right now is currently the only people that we appeal to are the international guests coming through our hostel. Our goal is to integrate the tourist community with the local community. So we have a vision to create an outdoor space with food carts, our beer cart, to create kind of an environment with games and activities and events, 2 blocks from downtown, where they can kind of integrate, meet each other, and create kind of a new vibe. So that doesn't exist in our town.
Here is that structure that we were just talking about that we are building. So this will go in the backyard. We're going to call it the yard. And it's important that you keep those businesses separated. This is another LLC. So we have our partnership at the top, then we have the house, and then we have, well,
I can talk to you
Yeah.
guys about, breaking
Structuring
out
it.
your companies to minimize risk.
but keep them separate, that's key. And this is, we have like big barn doors here. This is a sauna, ADA accessibility bathrooms. We'll have showers in here, more washing machines for our guests. Storage here that could be for the kayaks, surfboards, bicyclists, other people doing the Trans-American. They live on their bikes, they're expensive bikes, and they want secure storage. Your guests will want secure storage if you can provide it. On the outside, we're gonna have outdoor showers too, so everybody can run around naked and get pizza.
Yes! Naked showers outside.
That's it, yeah.
Like, for example, I'm thinking about that, if I ever did something like that here, and I just imagine like homeless people taking showers in there, how are you going to?
We have a bathroom that is only accessible outside of the event, so you basically have to have a guest key code to get into the main structure. Then a bathroom that is a lock key that will be given out by the food carts and beer carts specifically.
And everything's
So it's
kind of
separate.
nice.
What about your guests though, if they're going to shower,
Keep that entry.
And we use keypads, kind of like the gentleman the other day. It's a
Yeah.
pretty effective tool.
Yeah, all those key, schlag, or what are they?
Yeah, Schlag.
Schlag or something.
Schlag.
We actually don't have the Wi-Fi. We thought about the Wi-Fi in the early days. It was a pretty high expense, and we didn't see it need. But in the future, we probably will convert that.
Yeah, the dorms have the keypad entries. Those are really nice. Private rooms have physical keys, and the entrance to the hostels front and back have keypads. So we have a total of 5 keypad entries. They're really handy.
Schlag.
Oh, yeah.
Schlag.
How many bathrooms did they start with?
We have,
Bathroom ratio to the.
yeah, we were forced. We only have 2 full baths in the house, and
Well, for 3, so we live upstairs in the penthouse, 2 for guests. But for
Okay.
30 people, that's a lot.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's 1 to 15. It was only really an issue
That's what we
when
had,
we
2
had
toilets for 30
the summer PPTers come through. But we put up a sign-up list on the doors. That isn't mandatory, but it's peace of mind for a lot of people that they can write it down. So they're really acceptable. And it's funny, when one person starts it, everybody starts it.
Wait, what were they writing down?
It's a sign-up list on the bathroom. You can just put your name and a time slot.
For showering.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's peace of mind.
That's hilarious. I love it.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Actually, somebody mentioned what's fresh in my mind. I thought that charging for internet. We actually do kind of charge for internet in an indirect way. We offer a dirtbag special. It's $15 to $20 depending on the season. So we're tapping into the van lifers and the dirtbags that are living out of the car. So they come, they pay $15 or $20 again depending on the season. They get beer, shower, laundry, Wi-Fi, and strict hours of day use of the hostel, and then they're out. So it's another way to bring in extra
but a
revenue.
bed.
Yeah, everything but a bed. It's $20. They hang out, they can cook, they can get water.
That's also really good if you're in a city. We would get the same thing because when van lifers come into a city, they're really stuck, and so
Yeah,
we use day use as well, and
Yes,
it's
they
great.
Tap into that, and you can market internet. Guests get it for free, but
We're a little over on time, Vicky. I'm happy to take questions all day, but
So I'm really curious. You both came from, it sounds like, a corporate career, some sort of career. How much? And it sounds like you were traveling even throughout this year.
Yeah.
How much time per week are you each putting to
Oh, Lord.
the actual business
So, yeah.
versus like how much free? Because you have a lot of staff too already. So I'm trying to figure out how much are you actually on property working it yourself versus working remotely and just helping kind of guide your team.
Yeah, I'll go quickly first. When we started, it was nights of no sleep all the time, and it was just 24 hours. Jay and I, we joked, we turned ourselves into glorified housekeepers. For the first 4 months, we woke up in the morning, stripped the beds, made the beds, cleaned the bathrooms, and then we finally got an employee, and then we started paying him at like month 4 or 5, and then we started paying us about 6, 7. Then we got more staff and more staff, but we were on, and then we set a goal. We were like, okay, the slow season is October, November. Tickets were on sale to Southeast Asia. We paid $450 round trip from Portland, and we went to Thailand and Myanmar. But we set a goal to take time off and stress the business, do a stress test. After 10 months, can the business run itself? Are the people that we got in place good enough? and let's see the numbers, how well they do. And that's actually segues, well, it's a bigger conversation in incentivizing. We did a profit share with our manager at that point. So he got hourly wage plus a tier of how much revenue we brought in for the time that we were gone. We did profit sharing and we rewarded him for that. So we were there, I mean, nonstop. We're stepping back now.
We're out of operations now, so we've been more strategic.
We're turning into owners now, where we could.
And so when we're in the house, we're working.
That's the dream.
Guess that's it. Thanks, guys.
I think they're up here.
One more.
Okay.
What?
Oh, you had your hand up.
Oh yeah, I think we can talk about it later. Maybe. But is it possible to pull money out of your 401k to invest and get around 10% penalty at all?
I don't think so.
No.
Well, there is one way. I'll tell you this. Really brief. You have contributions and you have money that build on your contributions.
Yeah.
So if you have a Roth IRA,
Yeah, it's pretty
or
post-tax.
pre-pay tax, you can actually extract the contributions you made tax-free, but you can't pull out the money that has accrued interest.
There's also rollovers for startup business. There's business startup, Rob's.
Yeah.
And if you've been a dirty hippie your whole life and have no retirement.
All right, thank you guys so much. And thank you for sharing your numbers. I think it's super important in our industry. And it's so cool to see you guys making a net profit of 50K. And it's amazing. And the profit sharing too. We do that at the hostel, and my girls get 5%. So, and they get paid $10 an hour, and then sometimes $20 an hour in the